The Gators have got another commitment for the class of 2023. This time they received a commitment from four-star edge rusher Isaiah Nixon. He is 6'4", 225 pounds, and this kid is a potential human wrecking ball in the backfield. Now what we're going to do in this video, like we always do, is we're going to watch the highlights, which I'm going to go ahead and start playing here. After we watch the highlights, which I'm sure is why most people are here, I'll go into his profile. You know, he's a nice athletic play to the outside and the quarterback right there. I'm going to go into his profile, look at the Florida roster, and just see how he projects on the roster. There he's getting held. Still makes the play. So what I like about Isaiah here is he is not a super large kid right now. He's not very filled out yet, but he's 6'4". All of 6'4". You can see it on the highlight video here. He is head and shoulders above most kids on the field. I would not guess he's 225 pounds. Now, it's very possible he is. But either way, I'm sure you saw it right there in that highlight. He has quite the motor on him. He's a kid that has a frame. He almost has like a basketball frame. I mean, he's bigger than a basketball player, typical high school basketball player, but extremely quick twitch athlete. He'll be able to put on weight quick. Probably will actually get more athletic when he gets to college. And you can see in this highlight video, like I've said before, very, very quick, very explosive. I believe he had double-digit sacks in high school. In his junior season, I want to say he had 10 sacks. And he had an absurd amount of tackles for a loss, which is typical. You know, you don't really see a ton of sacks from a high school kid because teams don't throw the ball as much in high school, although they are throwing more. But I think he did have something like 24 or 25 tackles for a loss, which is a crazy number. You're seeing 2 or 3 a game at that rate. And then I think he also had over 70 tackles, which is a massive number on the defensive line. So he is obviously in on a ton of plays from the defensive line position, as you can see right there. It's because if you try to run outside and you're running on his side of the field, he's more than likely going to be more athletic than your running back or your quarterback. And we will continue watching here. I really like Nixon a lot. I think he is a kind of a late riser in the rankings. We'll look at that as well here after the highlight video is done. But if I'm not wrong, I believe he's all the way in the top 200, in the top 100s, 150s, 170 range, somewhere between there. I think a lot of people are starting to jump on board now. He had offers from Alabama, Georgia, you name it. I think everybody started to show interest. Prior to committing to Florida, he was actually committed to UCF. He just decommitted from them. Not even 2 or 3 days ago. Fresh off a visit to Florida. It wasn't surprising at all that he decided to commit to Florida. That was the rumor of where he was going to go. Even while he was committed to UCF, it was just whether or not the staff would have taken him with the size of the board that they have along the defensive line, outside linebacker board. It was pretty stacked, but they obviously liked him enough to take his commitment. Now, Tamarian Parker was another edge rusher they were interested in from Alabama. He committed to Penn State, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I like Nixon just as much, if not more. I think Nixon has an extremely high ceiling from that edge rush spot. When you're factoring in his explosiveness, his size, his length, I mean, you can see his long limbs. He has everything you're going to want in an edge rusher. And who knows, maybe he doesn't add a ton of weight and he's actually a linebacker at the next level. I doubt that. He does look more suited to be an edge rusher. Looks like he has the potential to be a lot more disruptive as an edge rusher. So, you know, he'll be filling in that Brenton Cox role that we've seen over the past few years. Now, granted, it won't be the same exact role that we've seen Cox in because we do, after all, have a new defensive scheme. But at that position that you've seen Cox, this is what this kid will play. So we'll watch a couple more highlights if you don't have me muted already. I haven't really been breaking down this film just because in the previous films I've been going so long on these videos. I don't really aim to make these 15 or 20 minute videos. I just want the highlights, and then I want to go over the roster, and then we call it a video. So we'll see what he does. There you saw he got to the quarterback, made him hurry a throw, got to him probably a lot faster than that kid's used to seeing defensive linemen get after him. And we'll see him make a tackle. There's one of his tackle for losses we were talking about earlier. We'll call it a video there. We were almost to the video anyways. That was 4.5 minutes of highlights. One thing I do got to say, if Isaiah's watching this or if somebody knows Isaiah, can you change your huddle picture, my man? What is this? Come on, dude. It does. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Georgia fan, but it's a pretty nice picture, man. Pretty cool. You getting recruited by Georgia and get to put those pads on. But we're Florida Gators now, so let's get that profile picture updated, big dog. Okay, so now we're gonna look at how Isaiah stacks up on the depth chart, how big of a need he is at the position, and where he rated on Florida's big board relative to every single other kid that Florida is currently recruiting for the 2023 class. So if we look at the outside linebacker position, like I said before, we got Brenton Cox heading the way. Without a doubt, Cox will be the guy there. I mean, there'll be no issues for Nixon as Cox will be done. He's a senior. So what will be actually really intriguing is to see who is heading that position when Nixon steps on campus. Now, there's a few different guys that are possible there. We got Antoine Powell. I like Antoine Powell a lot. He was a guy that was often injured. I think he is one of my favorites to step up this season and kind of make a name for himself. I know a lot of people like David Reese. Reese is more experienced. You know, he's kind of he's similar set as Nixon, where he's the more of the tweener linebacker, edge rusher, super explosive, athletic. Reese has also been injured as well. So it'll be interesting to see if one of those two step up, or if we have a Lloyd Summerall who almost transferred. You know, maybe he came back for a reason. Maybe he'll see the field more. Or if one of the following two between Chief Borders and Jack Pyburn can make a name for themselves this season and kind of shoot up the depth chart. I know a lot of people like Borders from a leader standpoint. He's a very vocal kid that can get you on the field even if you're not as talented as some of the other guys. I like Pyburn's film a lot coming out of high school. You can go back and watch that if you want. I did a video on him. Impressive highlight tape, impressive motor. So, I mean, overall, there are some solid kids on the roster, but I wouldn't say it's the most stacked position on the roster. So it is a position of need without a doubt. And Isaiah Nixon fulfills at least one of those spots. I think they'll take one more edge rusher this class. Now, who that'll be, I'm not 100% sure. But we know for sure Nixon's going to be one of those as long as he stays committed. Now, as far as where he works out on our big board, you can see him right here as the 20th overall recruit after committing to Florida. He has an 8 on the talent score. It's an 8 out of 10. Let me zoom in a little bit more, make it a little more. I think it makes the video a little better when I really amp it up here. So we zoom in. There's Nixon. You can see right there. He's got an 8 on the talent score. He has a 10 interest level committed, so that gives him a bump. He is a 7 at the position of need, so we're saying that position is a 7 out of 10. So it's a pretty big need. Like I said, it's not the most talented position. We're losing our most talented guy on the roster this year after Brenton Cox leaves. So he is a big-time commitment. Granted, whether or not he was committed to UCF, it doesn't matter. I mean, Georgia was interested, Alabama was interested, Miami was interested, and he went ahead and committed to Florida. Proximity, he's from right down the road. He's from Lakewood, St. Petersburg, Florida, Lakewood High School. And then on impact, I only have him at a 7.5 is still a good score. Not a crazy, elite score. Oh, I'm jumping around here everywhere. Not a crazy elite score or anything, but it's a really good score. 7.5 means that you'll probably see the field by your sophomore season, I would think, and be a definite starter by his junior season. And I do think he has the upside to be a double-digit sack guy, depending on what he does in the weight room, what he does when he gets on campus, yada, yada, all that spill. We know how that works. I think he has the athleticism, the build, and the size to be a double-digit sack guy in the SEC, and a late round potential first round draft pick. Not one late round, a late first round draft pick in the NFL draft at some point. That's the kind of ceiling he has. I'm not going to say he's going to be that good, but I think he has that ceiling. We'll see what we get out of him in Gainesville. But his final score there was an 8.2 out of 10, so a really good score there. Not much else to say other than that was it was a big get to Marion Parker. Actually, is going to fall behind him. I hadn't even updated that. He committed to Penn State, so that's going to knock him down the board all the way down to a 6.65. So that bumps up Nixon to actually 19th right there behind Hakeem Williams. And Hakeem Williams is pretty close to falling off the board as well, just because I don't think Florida was in his top 5. Gonna let that one play out a little longer before I call it quits on him. But there we go, Isaiah Nixon. There's the highlight video, how he fits on Florida's board. I like it a lot. I think that is a great, real, I guess, a start, hopefully, to some commitments here soon. I know everybody's been craving for him. We had Tommy Kinsler yesterday or 2 days ago. I'll work around to getting a video on him. And hopefully we'll be getting some bigger news this weekend with Jaden Rashada set to commit. He's visiting Miami, so I think it's going to come down to Florida and Miami. So we'll see what happens there. I'll have that video ready to go if he commits to Florida, so you guys can tune in and watch out potential quarterback of the future. But until then, Isaiah Nixon, edge rusher, 4-star, top 100 overall kid. 150 overall, shouldn't say 100 overall. Either way, big time commitment. Like Isaiah Nixon a ton. I think he's got an extremely high ceiling. And he should be starting in the Florida defense near you by his junior season. So we'll see what happens as the next commitment video, hopefully, in the near future. But until then, go Gators.